Now it's time to welcome two of our sponsors, two platinum sponsors, who will come and say a few words about their enterprise. The first one will be, I think, from Raymond James. Do we have Bob McKenzie? Please welcome Bob McKenzie from Raymond James. Okay.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Bob McKenzie, as introduced. I'm a CFA, which is a Chartered Financial Analyst, Senior Portfolio Manager at Raymond James. I'm joined by Jim Bowie at the back. Jim is a PhD, taught at Bishop's University for, I think, 20 years, joined us about 18 years ago. And we're also joined by Marissa Lidnia, who's our Senior VP of our Estate and Trust Solutions, and Kyle Gianni, who's a Portfolio Manager as well. I thought we were going to have a chart. We don't, but we have one out there. And obviously what we do is portfolio management and try to take care of a lot of retirees. We're referred by Lawrence Mysak. Thank you, Lawrence. Lawrence has been a client for 10 years plus, as well as other McGill professors. All of you worked hard to accumulate your retirement savings, and at some point in time you need someone like us to manage it. Managing the money is obviously very important, but you've got to do it properly. And in terms of doing it properly, we start with a financial plan. The reason we start with a financial plan is you all have objectives as you've retired. Maybe you're going to sell your home in 3 years and move into Chartwell, and you might need $5,000 a month, but you're going to have a big influx of money. You might want to buy a new car, say in 3 years, so you tell us you need 50 grand. You might want to help your children now rather than later. We call it giving with a warm hand rather than a cold hand. You might have a trip planned. So when we do a financial plan, we flush out all of those objectives. So we will then know what amount of money you need and when. That's when we put together the portfolio to make sure that the cash flows that you need to meet those expenses are there. For example, we don't want to have a portfolio completely in equities and we get a market turn down and then we need $50,000 for whatever it is, and now we've got to sell at the wrong time. So by doing a plan, we know what you need and when, and make sure the portfolio is aligned. So we must start with the financial plan. What it also leads to is a possibility for insurance. You might be sitting there saying, oh my God, I'm retiring, the last thing I need is insurance. But if you have excess funds, which are going to be highly taxed, unfortunately, in Canada, it might make sense to buy insurance with those excess funds. You can invest them in an insurance product on a better after-tax basis, and what you're doing is buying insurance for your portfolio upon death, because unfortunately when you pass away, your retirement portfolio initially passes to your spouse or partner tax-free, but on the death of the second, it's fully taxed, so 50% is going to go. You may want to consider insurance. What you also want to do is make sure that you have a will. I hope everybody here has a will. Hands up if you do. I hope everyone's got a will. Keep your hand up if your executor is your partner, your spouse, or a buddy. And the question is, what are the odds that your spouse, partner, buddy, friend might not be around when you pass? The odds are unfortunately pretty good. And secondly, what are the odds that that person may not be able to act, may not have the wherewithal to take care of an estate? It could probably take 2 to 3 years to do it. If any of you have been involved before, it's not fun. It is not an honor to be named an executor. It's a bit of a pain in the, and it's a lot of work. So we have, as you'll see outside, and Marissa's here, a trust company. We bought Solus Trust years ago. So we have in-house trust estate practitioners. So they could help you with your will, make sure it's done properly, make sure you don't avoid any of the potential pitfalls, and have an estate plan. I think RBC did a survey and 1 in 4 Canadians do not have an estate plan. I think the common mistake is waiting a little bit too late. You know, I'll get to it next year, I'll get to it, and you don't get to it. And as you probably know, there's about a $1 trillion intergenerational wealth transfer taking place right now. You're all part of it. Have you had the conversation with your beneficiaries? Most people don't. They kind of say, well, you know, when I pass, the kids or whoever's going to get the money, might be beneficial to have a chat with them now rather than later. I mentioned giving with a warm hand rather than a cold hand. If your children, perhaps grandchildren, need a little bit of help now and you have the wherewithal to do it, might be better to do it now rather than wait. They could use the money, the help right now, earlier rather than later. Just my notes. Probate. A lot of you are from out of Quebec. If you're in Quebec, you don't worry about probate. If you're outside of Quebec, you do. Probate's expensive. There are ways to avoid it. The simple way is on any registered account, so your RIF, your LIRA, your tax-free, name the beneficiary directly in your plan. It then passes to them directly without probate. We don't worry about it in Quebec, but we do outside of Quebec. Again, naming an executor, as I mentioned before, it's a big job, a thankless job, and you don't want to make any mistakes, so you might want to consider naming a professional liquidator, which we have with our Solus Trust Company. I only had about 5 minutes, and I think I've taken it. We're a little bit behind schedule, so I'll sign off with that, and I'll let our next sponsor have their 5 minutes.
Thank you very much. J'aimerais inviter maintenant Mme Isabelle Marceau de Chartwell à venir vous dire quelques mots.
Bonjour tout le monde. Isabelle Marceau, chef développement des affaires chez Chartwell pour toute la province du Québec. Donc, quelques-uns sont venus me voir ce matin, connaissent le nom, connaissent l'entreprise. Chartwell est une compagnie 100% canadienne, contenant en fait 200 résidences pour retraités et maisons de soins au Canada, dans 4 provinces particulièrement, donc le Québec, l'Ontario, l'Alberta et la Colombie-Britannique. Donc, dans les dernières années, nous sommes à la bourse, nous sommes une entreprise à la bourse. Principalement au Québec, l'an passé, on a fait de très grosses transactions. En fait, 43 résidences ont été vendues, Québec et Ontario, pour en racheter 23. Ce qui fait que globalement, nous sommes un des plus grands employeurs au niveau des résidences pour retraités au Canada. Nous avons près de 30 000 portes unités à offrir aux retraités. Et au Québec seulement, nous sommes à 13 800 portes. Ce qui est particulier au Québec, c'est la grosseur des résidences. Les résidences sont énormes comparées aux autres provinces. Ici, les résidences, on parle d'une moyenne de 310 portes. Et principalement à Montréal, tout près de nous ici, dans le quartier Rosemont, nous avons acquis quartier Rosemont, qui est de 690 portes. Les niveaux de soins peuvent varier selon les provinces, selon les lois et les règlements. Au Québec, nous sommes la province où il y a le plus de contraintes et de certifications nécessaires pour opérer une résidence pour retraités. Donc, comme mon prédécesseur le disait, c'est important de planifier. Difficile pour moi aujourd'hui de vous parler de votre offre selon chaque province, parce que comme je viens de le dire, les lois changent, les stratégies changent. Mais ce qui est important, c'est vraiment de planifier. Il n'est pas vrai que les portes seront toujours ouvertes et qu'il y aura toujours de la place dans une maison de retraités. Sachez qu'au Canada, en 2031, vous serez la génération baby-boomer la plus élevée. Et seulement au Québec, il va manquer 400 000 unités pour les retraités. Donc, selon votre province, votre démographie, il est important de planifier. Il est important de visiter votre maison de retraite, votre maison de soins à laquelle vous aimeriez profiter des services, de manière à pouvoir vous planifier d'être sur la liste d'attente s'il y a, mais aussi de planifier avec vos familles, vos proches aidants, à savoir où ce que, si la vie vous joue un tour plus vite que prévu, que vous ayez déjà une option en disant « Moi, c'est là que j'aimerais aller, s'il vous plaît. » Et probablement, quand vous aurez magasiné avec un niveau de soins actuel que vous connaissez, autonome, en forme, tout va bien. Mais si la vie vous joue des tours, bien, ça sera peut-être à réévaluer avec votre famille ou vos proches aidants. Alors, ce qu'il faut retenir, c'est réellement ça. C'est planification, la liberté de pouvoir choisir et de pouvoir s'offrir cette qualité de vie-là. Parce qu'effectivement, ce n'est pas donné à tous. C'est quand même un privilège de pouvoir vivre dans une maison de retraite de ce niveau. Et c'est vraiment ce qu'on veut. Votre slogan vient beaucoup nous rejoindre. Le bien-être des personnes. On veut, dans le fond, vieillir en santé, bien sûr, mais le plus confortablement, le mieux possible. Alors, c'est la devise un peu de Chartwell qui est dédiée au mieux-être des aînés. Alors, il nous fait plaisir d'être votre partenaire principal de votre congrès et de vous accueillir chez nous au Québec, dans cette belle université. Merci.
Merci beaucoup, Mme Marceau. Nous allons passer maintenant à la pause café et je vous demanderai d'être de retour à 11 heures pour notre deuxième présentation, s'il vous plaît. So please be back by 11 o'clock, please.